Hi, everyone, and welcome to our session. We're excited to share Baker Electric's Procore implementation journey with you, specifically how we use custom solutions and integrations to think outside the box, deliver immediate value to our teams, and increase adoption across the organization. Today, we're going to tell you a little about Baker Electric and our Procore journey and why we chose to use custom solutions and integrations. Then we'll walk you through our custom directory user sync integration and our commitments internal workflow custom solution. And we'll also share some of our insights and lessons learned throughout the project. So to start off, I'll just introduce myself and then pass it on to Jared, my partner. Hi, everyone. My name is Sandra December, and I'm the Senior IT Project Manager at Baker Electric since December of 2019. I'm a 20-year IT veteran, and I've led IT transformations in many industries, including higher education, finance, and construction. I began leading the Procore implementation just before the pandemic hit and worked through many of the challenges that already existed, as well as new challenges introduced due to COVID. In my experience, many of the box software products require heavy customization, but we found that most of the time Procore gave us a solution that matched our needs in both the office and the field. When we did look to Procore to bolster some functionality, we found it incredibly easy to work with, using both custom integrations and custom solutions to build seamless tools that worked right inside the program to match our optimized processes. We were able to increase adoption across pretty much the entire organization by implementing the custom features that we're about to show you. So now I'll pass it on to Jared.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. My name is Jared LaFuse, and I'm the Senior Technical Trainer at Baker Electric. I have almost 18 years experience in the electrical construction industry, most of those years as a foreman and certified electrician. Currently, I work with both the field and the office to create and provide training and operational support. And specific to Procore, my role has been to assist with the build out of tools, where I help to consider the variety of users and skill levels that are going to be interacting with the tools. I also create standard operating procedures and resources that are specific to Baker. I also create and train on using Procore and provide continued support. The different roles that I've been in have given me firsthand experience relating to many of the struggles that we see in our day-to-day operations. The custom solutions and integrations that we are going to discuss today have alleviated a lot of those struggles, and have shown immediate positive impacts on how we operate. But before we get into those, let us paint a picture of what Baker Electric does and who we are, and show the diversity of how we're using Procore. So Baker Electric began in 1938 in Escondido, California. Throughout the years, we relied on the leadership of 4 generations of the Baker family. Having celebrated 83 years in business this year, with Kent Baker as chairman and Ted Baker as president, we're proud of the longevity and the reputation that we have built in the communities we serve. Today, Baker's a major player in the electrical contracting space. We deliver innovative electrical construction projects, specialty services, and renewable energy solutions across all market sectors. And we serve Southern California and have utility scale solar projects throughout California and Nevada. We rely on several operating groups within Baker Electric who are absolute experts in their type of work. This allows us to confidently take on any project. The diversity of project types is great for serving our clients, but it can create struggles internally with working silos or specialized needs. To combat those issues, we look for tools and systems that have that same range of abilities, which is very hard to find. Procore has been one of those platforms that has helped us across the board. It's helped us with keeping the process of managing the work standardized throughout the organization. But what's been really great is the level of flexibility and customization it has. We can adopt to needs that are specific to individual operating groups while maintaining a level of process standardization. So as we discuss the custom integrations and solutions that we've implemented, the variety of our users and organizational groups forced us to think outside the box and consider the possibilities of what what could be?
Yeah, so thanks, Jared. I mean, at Baker, we excel in electrical construction and we transform communities through our work. So, as you've seen from the wide array of markets we work with, we need to be at the top of our uh, work and make sure that we're customizing our processes so that they are standardized across all of the market sectors that we work with. We do this by staying on track. We're team builders. We own our work all the way through. We're all in, 100% dedicated to our craft. We care for others. And Procore helps us maintain our core values by using one system to maintain project management and foreman ownership of tasks, keeping the project team together in one system, working towards their goals, using streamlined processes that reflect the care we have for each other, and using customized processes that are unique to Baker. I wanted to share a little about our Procore implementation journey with you. So we purchased Procore in the fourth quarter of 2019 and put together a project team of super users and decision makers. Then we began planning with our implementation manager. And in Q1 of 2020, we focused on implementing our user sync integration, which we'll share more about later. After COVID hit in quarter two, we experienced some delays, but actually saw immediate benefits to working in Procore's cloud-based software to pilot project management tools and roll out timesheets to our construction division. In Q3, we completed our rollout of all of those core PM tools and timesheets. We rolled that out to construction, and then we also rolled it out to our renewables division. And then in Q4, we completed the rollout to all of the remaining divisions. And then we developed our custom solution to our commitment internal approval flow, which we'll share more about a little bit later. So for 2021, we've spent our time imprinting Procore across the organization, providing training to our team, piloting new tools, and rolling out additional functionality. And now Jared will share some stats with you about our Procore usage.
Yeah, thanks, Sandra. We've come a long way in a short time with our Procore use. So in Q2 of 2021, our people are utilizing both the mobile and web platforms extensively. We created almost 308,000 items and used 26 different Procore tools. And that's all across 900 projects and over 1,100 users. And the numbers keep growing every quarter. So our success has come from the benefits our people have experienced. So the better solutions we can create for them, the more they want it. Jim Packer, our area general foreman for commercial solar, had this to say about Procore and our use, which is after spending time in Procore, I can see what all the excitement is about. The overall experience of checking drawings, RFIs, daily logs, photos is miles ahead of where we're trying to do with SharePoint. I think the foremen having access on the fly is making them see it as more of a tool than a chore. And those tools that we're using have quickly become part of the integral process of our project lifecycle. I'm sure everyone here has been or knows how much work and effort goes into making changes. On projects such as the San Diego State University Aztec Stadium that we're doing, there's a lot of activities going on, so much happening that change becomes even harder. But it doesn't have to be that hard. The custom integrations and solutions have helped us maximize our ROI by improving some of our processes and continue to help us imprint Procore in our way of getting work done. But none of those can occur without people adopting that change. So we started by looking at how we could improve the work of our people. After we defined that came the question of how we can do that in Procore. And that's when we engaged the custom integrations and custom solutions team for help. So Sandra's going to take you through our custom integration.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, so I'd like to share a little about the story of how we used custom integrations to sync our Spectrum, Viewpoint, ERP system, and Procore in order to keep our project directory up to date. So a key part of our Procore adoption was to ensure Baker team members always had access to Procore and that foremen had immediate access to their crews to complete their timesheets and dailies. Some of the challenges we had experienced in the past were employee data errors in our ERP, which of course causes upstream problems in completing timesheets and downstream problems with payroll. We were processing time in two different systems, an about time, which is what the field used to enter the time, and Spectrum, which is how payroll paid our employees. So any differences between employees in the two systems had to be fixed manually. Foremen were also challenged with the lengthy process of completing manual daily reports, which required them to separately add employees and time to a fillable PDF and email them to labor compliance. Payroll was spending so many hours per week validating time entries related to crews that were no longer with the company or had not yet been set up in the system. So that obviously resulted in many payroll errors. And then new hire processing was often delayed, especially on our large utility scale jobs, which required dedicated timekeepers to stay on top of updating the system so that they could enter time. So with Procore, we were able to work with Procore custom integrations to build a solution that allowed us to sync employee data from the Spectrum ERP to Procore on an hourly basis. The data we synced included employee name, ID, classification, active status, and a few other fields that allowed us to provide immediate access to Procore for our team members and then also gave foremen access to their crews. Having the employee ID in the crews tool allowed foremen to quickly select the right employee for their timesheets, reducing errors. They also began using daily reports in Procore, which syncs over employee and timesheet data and automatically sends a report to labor compliance when it's completed. Payroll could now rely on the employee data since it was integrated with our source of truth, Spectrum. And payroll was also able to save time by processing payroll daily using the company level timesheets tool. After implementing the user sync and using timesheets and dailies on several of his jobs, one of our area general foremen, Steve Loiza, had this to say about Procore. The entire company is committed to Procore and the standard has been set. It is key and has been beneficial in all aspects of our daily operations. The future is bright with Procore. So now that we have the custom user sync, when we look at our directory history in Procore, we see the integration user updates the job title, employee ID, tags, which include classification and title, as well as some other directory fields. And this data populates in the corresponding fields in the directory listing, as you see on the right. As we began working on the Aztec Stadium job, as Jared mentioned, one of our foremen said that he adds crews weekly to the Aztec Stadium job, and the fact that they show up in Procore within a few hours of being hired changes the game for timesheets and dailies. So with our custom directory user sync integration, every foreman is now saving at least 1 hour per day completing their timesheets and dailies. Payroll saves 1 to 2 hours weekly, if not more, by having reliable data and no longer needing to validate time entries. In fact, we've seen a 28% increase in on-time completion of timesheets by our foremen. And this integration has been incredibly valuable. We're happy that Procore was able to work with us to customize a solution that saves us time and money. So now I'll pass it over to Jared, who will share some great information about our Procore custom solution.
All right, thanks, Sandra. Yeah, so this custom solution that I'll be sharing with you is our internal workflow that was created for the commitments tool. The commitments tool itself was a great way to manage the subcontractors and financial commitments of the projects, but for us, one of the biggest areas of improvement was the steps leading up to the signed commitment. Internally, there were just too many steps that took way too long to do, too many programs to navigate, and the subcontractor reviews would sit in someone's inbox for too long. These all things all had potential to cause scheduling issues or getting subs on site. Um, we easily could have, we might even shuffle priorities around or be reactive instead of proactive. So any number of things could have gone wrong with this. And we could have tackled these in pieces, but instead we didn't look at it that way. What we want to do is we had to define what we really wanted out of this. And that was to get subcontractors approved and on site faster. And that was the easy part, is defining what we wanted. So the harder part was, it wasn't the waste of time or eliminating steps. We all know that's part of what we're trying to accomplish. But instead, what we needed to do was, figure out what did our people want and what was going to get them excited, what's in it for them. So kind of here's what we were up against. Number one, we had a process that was in place. We knew it could be better, but it worked. And there are people that have been doing this a long time, and the process was just ingrained in their everyday work. So what was going to get them to change? Well, it was to provide them a clear benefit. And the benefit was going to be to remove the tedious tasks of emails and downloads and paper markups and approvals. The second thing we had to address was the burden of using so many programs. It was time consuming, it wasn't easy to navigate. We needed one place to perform and manage everything. And we were already using Procore for so much. So how do we use Procore for everything? How do we build in our workflow in a way that eliminates the need for anything else? Third, we had people like our subcontractor compliance team that were not using Procore, but they were required to be in that workflow. So we had to get those people and departments to work and view items in Procore just like the project teams were, but without the burden of making them work out of another platform. So we had to figure out how to get them involved. And last, we needed to improve our visibility with the project team. As the subcontractors get passed along from one person to the next, there was no way to know where they were and who was working on it without emails or phone calls to track all this down. So, we're from using some of the other tools in Procore, we saw that it was possible to avoid all that by having things like status tracking, whose ball in court was it, and ways to let people know that it was their turn to do their part of the workflow. So we just needed it to be part of the process. We did a lot of brainstorming, tried new tools, new options, custom field sets. We tried we tried everything. We were just not finding a solution that worked the way we wanted it to. So we knew we knew what we wanted. We just couldn't do it. Find an option to do it. And that's when we talked to our customer success manager at Procore about a custom solution. And once we started to engage with the custom solutions team, things turned around for us. We collaborated on taking the process we had, the process we wanted, and what we needed to create, was a custom workflow for the commitments tool. So the solutions that they helped build for us was a built-in approval workflow. We could customize the approvers needed. That could be depending on approval limits. We can select the order in which people need to review. These can also be customized for each operating group. Having this part of the tool means that we can work on one project or 1,000, so it's totally scalable. This solved the problem of being flexible enough for all operating groups, but the work was still standard. Um, Another feature to this workflow is that we could attach documents and review and comment, but with the ability to keep our internal pieces separately from the external pieces. So with this, we're doing everything we need to do in one spot. And just like some of the other tools, the custom solutions team added ball and court statuses, comments, and auto-generated emails. So anyone in the process knows that they have a task or they can see exactly where it's at. And because the custom user sync that Sandra shared, uh, we now had our subcontractors all vetted and all approved. So when our team adds them to the workflow, it pulls from Spectrum without even leaving Procore. And so all the questions of if they're approved or not were totally there. We didn't have to worry about that. So Brian Andrews, our Chief Information Officer, summed it up nicely when he said the internal workflow for commitments was created a way for users to remain in the platform where work gets done. Um, so what I have here is a screenshot of that workflow. It shows the steps and users of all tracking and change history we get with the custom solution. The custom solution team does a really good job of making this seamless with the rest of Procore. Um, what this really did for us, with it being so intuitive and easy to use, it really helped our people. It helped our training and our learning curve um, reduce, which was drastic for us to get people into the tool and learning how to use it and adopting it. Um, and now the business process feels like it was there all along. Most of the time, our users are really surprised to find out that this was made for us and it wasn't part of Procore all along. So it helped us with our buy-in. It helped us imprinting this in our daily work, but it also helped us on the business side. So some of the things we got out of this, some of the benefits, since implementing the internal workflow, um, we're seeing a reduced turnaround time to approve a subcontract by more than 50%. We're saving money by experiencing less delays to the work because the subcontractors can be scheduled and on-site faster. Our subcontractor compliance team also has easier access to invoicing and collecting payments. And all of this has increased visibility and awareness across the entire company. The solution has helped us get more people using Procore, wanting to use more of Procore, and best of all, saving us money and time. So before I hand it over to Sandra to wrap up with our insights and lessons learned, I wanted to leave you with this. So using Procore, uh, changing processes, new ways of working, or whatever you're trying to achieve, it's easy to settle for better than before, but think outside the box. You might come up with something really great.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Jared. That was incredible. We love our custom integration. We love our custom solution in the commitments tool. So now that we've shared our experience with custom integrations, custom solutions, and how we were able to think outside the box to implement tools that saved us time and money, I wanted to share some insights and lessons learned. We were able to achieve the greatest value by first quantifying our challenges and objectives, and then choosing areas where we would benefit the most from a more efficient and streamlined solution. We discussed our challenges with our CSM, our Customer Success Manager, and that was kind of the first step to ensure that we were not coming up with a solution that already existed in Procore. So as Jared alluded to, we tried many options first, and then contacted our CSM, made sure that we needed a custom solution. It was also really important for us to thoroughly document our entire process, both process flows and data flows, to make sure that we could provide very clear requirements to Procore for what we needed built. And since we quantified our objectives first, we were then able to clearly identify our return on investment by looking at the savings in both time and money by these new solutions that we've now implemented. So primarily our overall goal was to drive adoption of Procore by implementing tools that would allow us to stay in the system, use Procore as our single platform, and really provide the tools we needed to both our field and our office teams. And we're very happy that we did. So we really appreciate you listening to us today in our presentation. We're happy we were able to share some insights with you into how we've customized Procore to both increase efficiency and drive adoption at Baker Electric. We just want to say feel free to reach out to either one of us, Jared or I, with any questions you might have, or if you'd just like to chat more about what you've implemented or learn more about how we have used Procore. Thanks for listening, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your time at Groundbreak.